Hello and welcome back to the Review Realm. It's Sienna and today we're going to be talking about some of the box office numbers that were released from Snow White's opening weekend, and it is not looking good. But before we get to it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, I did a full-length review of Snow White, so you can hear all my thoughts on that. I'll link the video down in the description below so you don't have to go too far. If you want to know my thoughts, go watch that video. But we're just going to be talking about the numbers here, and I thought we could go and look at what Rotten Tomatoes is saying for this. And currently, right now, Snow White is at a 43% for critics and a 74% for verified audience members. And those are people that purchase tickets through Fandango, which is, they're connected with Rotten Tomatoes. So that's the only way to be a very verified audience member. But if you go to all audience, it's a 22%, and that is not good for Snow White at all. The average score is a 1.6 out of 5. That's really bad. Now, our top critics, it's a 29%, and if you go to all critics, it's actually 43%, so it doesn't really make it that much better, but still. So Snow White, even from the critics and the audience, it's not looking well. Overall, people are not really enjoying this movie. Whatever your thoughts are on it, personally, we can say as a big group of people, majority of people, just this isn't their cup of tea or their apple, you could say. I tried to make it funny, but that didn't really work. Anyway, moving on. I thought we could go and look at this article by Forbes, and it's titled, "Yes, Snow White is Bombing at the Box Office." So, and this article was released on March 24th at 10:14 a.m. So Snow White did not impress the critics with a 44% score on Rotten Tomatoes, but even with a higher 74 audience score, the movie is in fact currently bombing at the box office, at least according to these initial figures. Snow White brought in $87 million in its opening weekend globally. Now, it's not just domestically that Snow White needs to be doing good, also globally. That's where a lot of these movies make a ton of money, not just within the United States, but it made $43 million domestically, so just within the United States. Now, that may not mean much, but if we compare it to the live-action Disney adaptations, it's not doing well. So the top one was The Lion King at $191 million for the same time period, while Snow White is the second to last at $43 million, and this is just domestically, not globally. So it's not really looking good. Mufasa, The Lion King made $35 million, and that came out at the end of 2024, so it is our most recent besides Snow White for the live action. And we do have Stitch coming out at the end of May. The end of May. So I'm really curious to see how that one's gonna do. I have been hearing from a lot of people that they seem to be more excited about Stitch compared to Snow White. So that's gonna be interesting. But overall, Snow White is just not making enough money, especially with its budget. So if you just do a bland Google search, how much was Snow White's budget, okay? This is just what the Google gives me, so don't get mad at me for these numbers, but it is a $209 million budget, according to Google, and it has currently made, 87 globally within just its opening weekend. The opening weekend, you have all the people basically who were super excited about this film go, and typically the numbers decrease over the weekends unless you might have a spike here and there, but typically you'll have a decrease from the first weekend because everyone who is super excited has already gone. And now we are looking at this, and it has to make at least $209 million, and this does not include marketing costs. We don't know how much marketing cost was. Typically, you can just double this budget, so you can say it at least has to make around $400 million to maybe break even, and that's being generous. Obviously, we don't know how much they've spent on this movie in total, but Snow White, it looks like it's not going to make money, and honestly, it kind of deserves that. If you watch my review, I was not the biggest fan, but do I think it's the worst movie ever? No. And especially out of the remakes, I do think Mufasa, I did not like that one compared to Snow White. That's just my quick thoughts, but go watch my review if you want to hear my full thoughts. But it does look like Snow White is gonna not make any money, so whether that is a big hooray or a womp womp. I don't know. I'm not Disney, so it is what it is. I think a lot of people were definitely expecting it, especially with what people were saying in the press tour. I think what Rachel Zegler said, it definitely did hurt it a little bit, because some of the things she was saying we didn't necessarily see in the movie. You could say that was maybe they changed some things on the back end. We don't know at the end of the day, but I think her comments did at least hurt it a little bit, but also just people weren't really interested in a Snow White live action. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below, and have a great day. Bye!